I'm going to be sharpening up a couple of my 106 knives here from Mora this morning. So I'm going to do a little video showing how I do that. This is the basic setup. I've got my water to keep the stones wet. I've got my little stone holder here, and I've got it propped up on just some scrap wood there so that my knuckles stay free and clear and that it's raised up for a more comfortable working height. Just held that down with the held fast there. You could totally do this over a tray to keep things more clean. This is, I just do it on my workbench, and that's how I get my signature black workbench here. It's all metal shavings. So let's get started here. I've got my stones go 1,000, 4,000, 8,000. You could do this with sandpaper. You could do it with different stones. But I'll go over the basics here. It's pretty much the same process for any abrasive you use. So first up, I'm setting up my 1,000 there. We've got our 106 here. I'll go over just how these should be set up. They come from the factory to where the bevel starts here. This is the back of the bevel. We've got our edge here. That should all be in one flat plane all the way down the length of the blade. What a mistake a lot of beginners make is they will round over the edge, about a 16th to a 32nd away from the edge. They'll create a new plane that is separate from the rest of the larger one, and it's what's known as a secondary bevel, and it changes the edge geometry of the whole knife, and it really doesn't work the same way at all. What makes these knives, Sloyd knives in general, work really nice for wood carving is the fact that they have one single large flat bevel. It allows you to get nice controlled planing cuts. So when you change the geometry, it really changes the function of the knife. So you'll get better and better with practice, but it is really important to try and focus on keeping, pretty much the factory bevel maintained in flatness and width. If you start increasing this and the back of the bevel moves back, it means your edge is going to be too thin and it'll chip out and not be as durable. If your bevel goes the opposite direction and starts moving towards the edge, it means your cutting angle is increasing, and it won't be quite as easy to carve. It'll be a totally different feel. You'll start getting into the territory of the geometry of rolling over your edge or creating a secondary bevel. So the other thing to note here is these are laminated, so you don't want to confuse this. You can see this line running down the entire length here. That's your hard steel in the center, sandwiched between mild steel. That's not two different bevels there. You could mistake that. This leading part, 1/8 inch or so, as a different bevel, but it's all in the same plane, just two different steels. So we get started here. You want to set your knife down and roll it until you can feel it flat, that flat bevel against the flat stone. And I keep a little bit of pressure with this hand rolled in like that, and then I also keep pressure with my left hand, the fingers here. So I'm going to start working this section. You kind of work sections at a time here. Beginners will find it easier probably to just do pull strokes like this. It's easier to maintain, keeping flat on that bevel the whole time. But I'm going to proceed just how I normally do, which is with push and pull strokes. I'm just cleaning off the metal with my little bucket of water over here. So you can see the scratch pattern, and this is what we check for first, just visually. We're going from this shiny finish that we had on the knife, and the 1000 grit makes this easy to see frosty scratch pattern. So you can see we're hitting evenly from the back of the bevel all the way to the edge. So we're on track there. Keep going here. So once you visually confirm that you're on the right track grinding, doing the whole width of the bevel consistently, you can't see if you've ground all the way to the edge for certain. You have to feel for that. So I'm going to be drawing my finger across the opposite edge like this, not across the edge like this, just very up the other bevel like that. If it feels like just totally smooth glass, means you haven't gotten all the way to the edge. What you're going to feel for is a burr, which means you've ground all the way to the edge and then just a little bit beyond to where you turn a little hook of metal. It's hard to even see, that's why we feel for it. But we're calling that a burr, and that's what we're going to feel for, and we need to feel it along the entire edge before we move on. So I'm just barely starting to feel it here, so I'm going to work this section a little bit more before going up the rest of the blade. You can see I'm still focused just from here down. Still not quite feeling a burr, so I'll work that a little more. Almost there, just a little bit more. Okay, I'm feeling the burr in this section, so I'm going to move on, start going up here. We'll do our visual check to see if we're on track here. And you can see I've moved that scratch pattern up, and we're still scratching evenly from the back of the bevel all the way to the edge, so we're on track. We'll just keep going there. Still on track visually. We can do a little feel here. We haven't raised a burr yet, so we're gonna just keep concentrating on that same area. Okay, we've got a burr there. So this straighter section of the blade's pretty easy. You keep it really 90 degrees to your stone, just back and forth. It's trickier as you move around this curve because you start getting less reference area, or less, there's less bevel to guide you to feel it on the stone. So especially up here at the tip, it starts getting really, there's really nothing behind there to guide you as much as there is down here. So as I get closer to the tip, I increase the angle from 90 to something like this. And I'm kind of starting my strokes back here and running them out to the tip. So there's more support going up the blade this way, than just that last little bit if I were to keep it at that angle. So that's what I'm doing here. Do our visual check. I'm doing okay. There's a little spot right in here toward the edge that I could be hitting, so I'll focus there. We're doing okay. I'm gonna keep working out toward the end there. Almost there, just that last little bit. Let's see here. Okay, I think we got that, so I'm gonna go back. Just feel for a burr. I've got it all but in this little area right here, and again, that's one of the trickier spots. It's rounded, so you don't have as much bearing surface as you're going across the stone. So I'll just work that last little section there. A little bit more still. Okay, I can feel my burr along the whole edge here now. So once you've got that, we're gonna flip over to this side. And what we're gonna do, same deal, we're gonna do our visual check, see if we're grinding from the back of this bevel all the way to the edge. And then we're gonna feel if we've bent the little hook that we've created, the burr, back over to this side. So we'll be feeling this side. See, now this side that we just worked, that feels smooth and glassy the whole way. So we've got to move the burr from this side, the new side we're going to work on, over to this side. So we'll do that here. Again, I'm going to focus right here to start with. Check our scratch pattern. Kind of on track. We'll see where we go here. Okay, so we got our scratch pattern going from the edge to the back pretty evenly. This section right in here, that's a little bit off from the factory maybe. We'll with several more sharpenings, this whole plane will blend down all the way, but that could be what the deal is down here for a little bit. This is only my second sharpening. This is a pretty new blade, so that'll get worked out in time. I can already feel this section. We've already got the burr moved over to this side, so I'll just keep working my way up to the end there. Visual check. Yep, moving that frost onward and upward. We've got that burr going all the way up too. A little bit further. Alright, I just have that last bit of tip left. Our burr's all the way up here. That's good. Almost there. Just a teeny tiny bit left up there. Alright, I'm gonna call that good. So technically at this point, we're sharp, meaning we've worked both bevels all the way to the edge and a little bit beyond, so that the edge is basically a point of infinity now. There is no edge technically. We've worked, and as long as there's no nicks we had to work out. When you feel that burr on both sides and you can't see any light going down the edge, you know you're sharp. We still have to remove the burr. You could do that on a strop. I do it by continuing down my grit, or up my grits to from 1,000 that we just did. I go 4,000, 8,000. So that does two things. That will remove the burr, and it will also polish the edge and the bevel. And the more polishing you do, the more durable your edge is going to be. And also, whatever surface you leave on your knife is going to be directly reflected in the surface left on your carving piece, on your spoon or whatever. So the shinier you make it, the shinier your wood surface is going to be. So I'm going to move on through my 4,000 and 8,000. It's the same process. I'm not going to show it here. You basically do your visual check, see if the new scratch pattern the new stone's making is hitting from the back all the way to the edge, and then you're going to feel if you've moved your burr over to the other side, and you just repeat that with the next stone, doing the same exact process. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll show you. I do a little stropping at the end. It's not super necessary coming off an 8,000, but I'll explain more when I do the stropping.